Hi, I'm Julie Hatch with Mums on a Mission. Welcome. Glad that you're here for this episode of Mums on a Mission. I have been talking about the use of Eastern medicine in parenting and children's behavior and raising children. How beneficial Eastern medicine I have found it to be in understanding kids' behavior, where it's coming from, and what to do about it. So I started talking about the element types, that there are 5 element types that everybody is. All kids are an element type, and all adults are element types. You're born with your element type, with your true nature. It's what makes you tick. It's what drives your personality, drives with your interactions in the world, with the world around you. And there are 5 element types: wood, which I talked about previously, fire, earth, metal, and water. And when you learn what your child's element type is, you start to learn what their stressors are, what's going to set them off, and what's going to bring out the best in them, their motivators. So today I'm going to talk about the fire child and the earth child. I'm going to start off now with the fire child. So last time I did wood, now I'm going to do fire. And fire children are their nicknames are the leaders. They are leader type children. They are really charismatic. They are really fun to be around. They love people. People love them, and they love people. They are enthusiastic. They are up. They are optimistic. They love life when things feel great. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They are really sensitive, and they will show you every emotion that they are feeling, which means also that they are dramatic. They are, well, first of all, they really like to perform. They like to be the center of attention. First of all, they need attention, which then leads to them being performers. They are natural performers because they love being the center of attention. So to get a fire child involved in theater or singing or playing a musical instrument or something where they can perform is a great thing for them. They can become the class clown if they're not getting if they're bored in school. They often become the class clown because they like to get people to laugh. They themselves have a good sense of humor, and they get people to laugh and pay attention to them, and they'll talk with their neighbors, and they can sometimes be a little disruptive in the classroom. They also are highly distractible because they like novelty. They really need novelty in their environment, and so they get distracted easily. Like they'll go for this shiny object and think that's great, and then lose interest in that and go for this shiny object, and then go for that shiny object. And they don't keep their attention on one shiny object for very long. They'll go from activity to activity to activity, and it's because they really need novelty to keep them stimulated. And so for that reason, some fire children are the inattentive type ADHD, not the kinds that have hyperactivity, more like the wood child, but the inattentive ADHD. They're just really highly distractible, and they like to have different things happening around them all the time. They like the novelty. That's what makes them feel good, is the novelty and having things be new and different all the time. They do things really fast. They walk fast. They talk fast. They're fiery, and so they're moving, and not hyperactively. They're just moving on to the next thing, and with novelty, and with people. They love people, and they have all kinds of different friends, and all kinds of different friends. They have a lot of friends. They're very popular. They can be impulsive, which goes along with part of the ADHD. And so that's good to know if you think that you have a fire child, because it's good to know how to start to help them learn to handle their impulsivity, especially when it's around things of safety. But their impulsivity is just naturally part of them. They're free spirit. They love life, and love lifes them back, and they really know how to enjoy life. They do not take things seriously at all. They, like I say, they have a good sense of humor. They like to joke and entertain people, and they do not take things seriously at all. They, like I say, they are easily bored. So their stressors are boredom, not having enough novelty, not having enough things to distract them or to pay attention to. They do well when in the older grades, when kids, certain grades, when they start to change classrooms for subjects. Sometimes it's in fourth grade, or sometimes fifth or sixth or seventh grade, and their different subjects are in different classrooms with different teachers. And fire children tend to do really well with that. They when they move classrooms, they're getting up and moving, for one thing, which they like to do. They're moving to another environment, another classroom, which means another teacher, and sometimes means other classmates with them. So getting up and changing all of that every 50 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever the class time is really great for fire children. They do really well with that. They do sometimes have a hard time settling back down, because they're they're just so upbeat and busy with other kids and performing and having fun, basically, is what they're doing. They're busy having fun, that sometimes it's hard to get them to buckle down and try to be serious. They don't like being serious. That's a stressor, actually, when they're told to be serious. They that rubs them the wrong way, because they just aren't serious. Their motivators are novelty, performing. They want to be the attention. At home, they're likely to be the ones that are always tapping on your shoulder saying, Mom, watch this, listen to this joke, watch to see what I learned today, watch, look at me, listen to me, pay attention to me. That's the fire child. And they're hard to brush off. And it would behoove you to take a couple of extra minutes to pay a little more attention to your fire child, or give them a time limit and say, okay, I'll watch you for this amount of time, but then I got to go back and do my stuff. So that they know what to expect. But to just ignore them or to just brush them off, that doesn't work for them, and it's just going to make them mad. So along those lines, they're sensitive, and they can get really moody. They can have meltdowns really easily, because they're sensitive, and because they are moody, they can have meltdowns really easily. They'll be your drama queen or drama king in the family. If things aren't going right, even if they're slightest bit hungry or slightest bit tired, can set them off, and they will have a tantrum and a meltdown, and things are going to be so horrible because they're so dramatic. That's the way that they are. That's their nature, and that's the way that they express themselves. So it fits right in. If you have a child like that, it fits right in as a fire child. They have trouble falling asleep, again, because they really have a hard time settling down. They are so up. And on one end of the seesaw of them is that they can be really manic, overly manic, where they just can't settle down. And then the opposite of that is that they crash and they have a meltdown and everything is horrible, and they're just opposite of up and happy and manic. So they have a little bit of that manic, and not at all manic, not depressed, but less manic. So they have a hard time falling asleep. So they need help with a bedtime routine, quiet, darkness, getting prepared for bedtime, and to help them bring them down from the day and settle into the nighttime. So they're performers. They are charismatic. They're friendly. They're fun. People love them. They don't like life being too serious. And there's a lot of good stuff about that. But just be aware that they can have the meltdowns. They're really dramatic in good ways sometimes, but then can be overly dramatic also. And they need attention, and they need novelty. As long as you know all that, then you can help keep their inside, or whatever's happening outside, in balance with what's happening on the inside. That's the whole idea of knowing these element types, is knowing what in their environment is going to stress them and cause them to have problems, and what's going to make them feel good and behave really well and have a good time in life. Okay, so that is the fire child. I'm going to move into the earth child, but first I just want to go over a little bit something else about the element types, for any of you who are maybe familiar with yin and yang as part of Chinese medicine, really. Eastern medicine, but Chinese medicine is yin and yang. So the wood and the fire, which I've talked about, are the yang type elements that are really up there, out there, loud, active. And then there are the yin elements on the other end of the spectrum. Metal and water are the yin type, and a little bit opposite from the yang type. And then right in the middle is earth. Earth is not really yang or yin, it's right in the middle. So I've talked about the two yang elements. Now I'm going to move into the earth element, like I say, right in between yang and yin. And the earth element, rightly so, well, they're the peacemakers. And because they're right in the middle of yin and yang, they are the peacemakers. They are the ones who want to bring harmony into the situation and the environment. They love people. They don't like being the center of attention like fire. They just like to have people around them, and they're on the outskirts. They don't like being the center of attention, but they like having people around. They're really affectionate. They are your child who will sit in your lap and kiss you and hug you and stroke your face, and they love physical contact. They have deep connections with their caregivers. Deep connections with their parents, teachers that they really like, babysitters, grandparents, whatever. They're really affectionate to people that they love, and they really love everybody. And then they're peacemakers, and they like harmony, and they like to bring harmony into the environment. One of their stressors is having a lot of discord in the environment. If parents are arguing a lot, or family members are arguing a lot, and there's a lot of fighting or discord, it makes them really uncomfortable. They have a really hard time with that. That is their biggest stressor, because it is disrupting their harmonious nature. The way that they feel inside is being disrupted by people fighting around them. They're diplomatic, which is why they're the peacemakers. They are easygoing. People, Earth children usually have a lot of friends, and people like them because they're so easygoing. They go with the flow. They don't like to make a ruckus. They don't like to make a big deal of things. They do sort of what's asked of them, and they just go along. Part of that is that in the classroom, if they're having difficulties with something, they're not going to raise their hands and ask for help. They don't like to stick out in the crowd at all. They like to blend in and be part of the crowd. So if they're having problems or if they have questions, they are the kids that will just blend in, and the teacher will not realize that they're having a hard time. So it's nice to be aware that if you have an earth child, they are going to keep quiet about, or they may keep quiet about whatever they don't understand in school, whatever is bothering them, because they don't like to make waves. They're just easygoing. They like to keep things quiet. They like to keep things harmonious and on an even keel, so they're not going to rock the boat, basically. They're really compassionate because they care deeply about other people. They are, like I said, the diplomat, and they connect people together. And let's see what else. They like to sing and to hum. They're not performers, like I said, like the fire child. They're not going to sing out loud to get people's attention, but they like to sing or hum to themselves. So if you hear your earth child humming to himself or herself or singing, that means that they're feeling really good inside. Things are just feeling great. They hum along to life. So their stressors are, like I say, discord, fighting, no harmony in the environment around them, and they're trying to bring harmony in. And what happens when they do that, the way they react to that kind of discord or problems, is that they worry a lot. Their big emotion is worry. And you may not know that. They're not going to speak up and say, "Hey, Mom, I'm really worried about this," or "I'm worried about this, worried about that." They'll keep it to themselves a lot of the times. Maybe they'll let you know, but maybe they won't. They may, end up with stomach aches, or not sleeping well, or not eating well, just as a way of letting out their worry, because that's how they process any of their stressors and their challenges that they're faced with in their environment. They will worry about it. They're big worriers. So be aware of that. They the motivators are being around people. They like being around people. Again, not the center of attention, but being around people. So they need people around. They need people around them. So that is the earth. So we've done wood, fire, and earth. And so if you're wanting to know what your child's, if you don't know yet what your child's element type is, you can go to juliephillipshatch.com and take the 5-element questionnaire, and that will let you know what element type your child is. And I will be talking about water and metal. Water and metal. What's also interesting to do is to understand interactions that go on in the household through understanding the different element types. So it's interesting to do your own element type, your spouse or partner's element type, other adults in the house that live in the house, other siblings, because different element types interact differently. The yang and the yin can be really opposite, but that can be a really nice balancing thing. Some element types that are very similar can sometimes butt heads. So anyways, the dynamics in a family can be understood a little bit more through knowing element types. And just another thing that I want to sort of explain as what I see the benefit of knowing your child's element type is. I mean, I think it's just the basis of understanding your child is the element type. I think that I said last time that you don't want to label your child, so calling them an element type is a very objective, non-judgmental way to describe your child. It's just the way they are. Fire children just are active, distractible, performers, upbeat, everything that I've talked about. That's just the way that they are. That's their true nature, and there's no changing that. So for instance, if you have 3 different kids who are on the playground that are being bullied or being made fun of by some older kids, there are different ways that a child are going to react, and you can almost predict how they're going to react based on their element type, or their element type can explain why they reacted the way they did. So for instance, when they're being made fun of by a bunch of older kids, one child may run away, not want to deal with it, not want the confrontation, and just going to run away and avoid the whole situation. And that's kind of a yin kind of reaction, which I'll get into the yin element types later. One child may stand there and tell jokes and try to make the bullies laugh and kind of make light of the situation, take the seriousness down and make it a lighter, more funny, entertaining kind of situation. And that's really effective too. And that would be a fire child. And then a wood child may decide to fight. He may just get angry and frustrated and just start fighting much more physically, a much more physical reaction. So different, same situation, 3 different kids, 3 different reactions. And whatever element type they are, whatever works for them is what they're going to do. So that's just another way to look at how element types can be really helpful and interesting. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Next time I'll be back and I'll talk about metal and water. And so I will be back soon.